I don't know about you, but I love books. And I especially love old books that make me feel nostalgic. So let's have a look at the book. It's the Ladybird book of trees. And trees happen to be another of my favourite things. I had this book, I must have been about 5 or 6. Not this particular book. Unfortunately, my collection of Ladybird books was thrown out when I grew up. I wish I'd kept them. But I managed to find this one on eBay, so I bought it a few years ago. It's quite expensive, but it's worth it. Because when I pick up this book and flick through the pages, it's like I'm a child again. Just the weight of this book, perfect for small little hands. I watched a TV programme once on Ladybird books. If you're not familiar with Ladybird books, they are a British brand of books written for children, but they were educational. And the particular thing about Ladybird books was the illustrations in them. Beautiful artwork. And I learned to read with a series of learn to read books with characters called Peter and Jane. And I remember they went from 1A, 1B, right up to 10 or more. And by the time you hit book 10A or 10B, you're a fluent reader. But the pictures and the illustrations, very old-fashioned now, but very nostalgic to me. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I like about the Ladybird Book of Trees. On the back I can see that when this book was published, it cost 15 pence. I paid a lot more than that for it on eBay, but it's worth it. I love second-hand books. I love the smell of them and the feeling of history. Sometimes if you buy a second-hand book, maybe you'll find a photograph in there. This one has got the name and address of the person who had it. It's got a handwritten little note. I'm not sure if my camera's picking that up. The first page has got little outlines of trees that you might find in Britain. And the book was written by Brian Vesey Fitzgerald. And the illustrations are by S.R. Badmin. This particular book was published in 1963, which is before I was born. So the original book that I had was a few years old when I had it. Might have belonged to my sister because she's a few years older than me. Now, when I was a child, I don't think I spent much time reading this particular book. On each page there is a description of a tree. This one is the common elm and the wych elm. And it tells you some interesting facts about the tree, the shape, where they're found. But what I used to love was the pictures. And I used to imagine I was walking through this scene. You know, I spent a lot of my childhood, when I think about it, living in my head and using my imagination. And I'd, in my imagination, walk from page to page. And I remember this one. In fact, this picture is the cover picture. And it's a tree you may recognise. It is the horse chestnut. And in the spring they have the most beautiful, almost like candles, flowers that stand upright. And then in the autumn, this time of year, they produce prickly little buds that drop off, and inside are conkers. Not sure many children play with conkers these days, but when I was in school, it was a very popular game, mostly for boys. But the detail on these pictures is incredible. The artist must have spent ages illustrating and painting. And the book goes on talking, giving facts about various trees. Various seasons of the year. And then this one, another favourite, oak tree. I love oak trees. I love how old they are. And I always imagine if oak or any old tree could talk, what they would say, because they must have seen so much in the hundreds of years that they've been living. And you just go on and on through the pages of this book. And I love this one because this picture has got a gate. I remember pretending I was walking through that gate, and what was the other side. I suppose the idea of stepping into the page of a book reminds me a little bit now of the Mary Poppins film, when the children and Mary Poppins and Bert jump into a chalk painting on the pavement. I told you I had a big imagination when I was a child. Beautiful Scots pine trees. On and on the illustrations go. On and on my little walk went. And this one's got a very nice house. This must be somebody's garden. In this particular book, there's no pictures of people. And that, to me, gives it a very peaceful feeling. It's just the trees and nature. Sometimes on the page there's a little close-up of the fruits or the leaves on that particular tree. On and on, each page a different scene. Beautiful tree in full blossom. The child who owned this book, aside from writing their name and address, didn't deface this book at all. There's no doodles or colouring. And I guess that means they either loved this book very much and looked after it, or I suppose it could mean that they never looked at the book and it might have been put on the bookshelf, never looked at. But I like to think it was the first. They just looked after it. So peaceful, isn't it? Some trees in this book are deciduous and some are evergreen. Another lovely one with a gate. And I think on the last page which was a really special picture, because this one shows the tamarisk and the maritime pine and sea blackthorn. So they're all trees that are found on the coast. There's a picture there of some fishermen's nets. So that to me was very exotic and so different from the other pictures. And then the back page is the same as the first. Beautiful silhouettes. I think this book, although it's written for children and it's educational, it's very, very graceful. There's no garish pictures in here or aliens or talking animals. Just graceful pictures, ordinary scenes. And I love it. Intriguingly, on the back page is a list of other books in the series. There's things like British Wildflowers, the Book of Pets, the Book of Garden Flowers, the Night Sky, Pond Life, Birds of Prey, and children were genuinely interested in those things. Not all children, probably. I used to have a few different Ladybird books. As I said, they've all been destroyed now, thrown out. Another Ladybird book that has a special memory for me is a story book, and it was the story of Sleeping Beauty. And I won that book in 1973, and I was 6 years old. And I remember the date because I remember on the fly sheet inside, the head teacher had written a note, and it went something like, "This book is awarded for coming first in a colouring competition." I was very, very proud of that book. So one day I might go on eBay, see if I can find the Ladybird book of Sleeping Beauty. I wonder if you've fallen asleep. If you have, I'd consider this video to be a success. But even if you have enjoyed listening to me rambling on and you feel a little more relaxed, that's good too. I hope you enjoyed my little trip down memory lane with my Ladybird book. I've got a few other books that I would like to talk about one day. let me know in the comments if you like hearing about my books. Most of the ones that I want to talk about are nostalgic for one reason or another. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're still awake and you did enjoy, maybe you could hit the like button. Consider subscribing. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care, everyone.